Hi everyone. This is a video that I've been wanting to record for a really long time. It's a really important story to me, and so I've taken my time to tell it properly. This is the Conversations with My Uterus, part 5, and this is where the title Conversations with My Uterus comes from because I've had some extremely interesting and mind blowing experiences along the way leading up to hysterectomy and thereafter. So I thought I'd just share some of these experiences with you because this is a wild ride transitioning female to male. And there's a lot going into this, and it's a very unique journey. And I thought, it's really important to document these things as weird and wonderful as they can be. Before I do that, though, just check out my doggies chilling with me. They've been really good during my recovery, pretty much just hanging out on that couch, either on me while I've been sleeping or watching movies, or just hanging around. They're really cute. So, conversations with my uterus. The concept of that all started around 2 years ago. So, I have been on testosterone for 3 years. I had my 3 year anniversary 1 week ago. And so I've been on testosterone for 2 years. It's about 1 year post-op, and I started to experience really intense abdominal pain and cramping. And this is actually really common for trans men and non-binary people who were female-bodied and are taking testosterone. And this can be a multitude of different reasons, and I've talked about that in Conversations with My Uterus videos, part 1 and 2. But I experienced excruciating pain, way worse than period pain. And I did have a friend who is trans and before they transitioned had a child, and they said that it's much worse than labor pain. So I found that really, really interesting because I thought, hey, you know what? Can't be as bad as that. Maybe it's similar because it felt like contractions that once they started, they sort of amped up. They'd come every few minutes. The cramping would come every few minutes, last for a little while, relax, and after it relaxed, I would get a hit of endorphins and relax and feel a lot better, and then bang, it'd come back again. And it was really bad for a long time. And I remember around November 2017, which is the same time that the same-sex marriage debate was going on in Australia. And so the same-sex marriage debate occurred because the government brought in a vote, an election basically, a vote yes or vote no to same-sex marriage act. So that meant that any Australian could vote yes, and if there are enough yeses, then Australian same-sex couples could get married. And that was an incredibly offensive time for all queer people. And I struggled through it, and a lot of people I know did, and it was really horrible, a horrible time. And I was working at the clinic, as I do, and I had been transitioned in my clinic for 2 years. So the people that I treat before and after, I had changed my name with them, I had started hormones with them, and I had described the process at the beginning when they were all curious and wanted to know. And over the 2 years, they slowly went from misgendering me most of the time to appropriately gendering me all the time. So I get a lot more he's. I didn't really feel it was never an issue. I just was like, yeah, okay, we're going to get there. It's a evolution. The one thing I didn't expect was that during the same-sex marriage debate that people would tell me that they were really excited for me because I'd be able to marry my wife and our marriage would be legal. And I was kind of taken aback that people hadn't quite bridged the gap that I was female and now male, and they were calling me he and they're calling me Jackson and they're referring to me as a man, but didn't seem to understand that I was also male in my relationship. And I had changed my gender by then on my birth certificate to male. And so I had this conversation quite a few times, and I was actually quite affected by it. I was affected by the fact that it was clear that even though I had done all this stuff to become male and transition, and I thought people had got it, that really people were seeing me in a different light to how I was seeing myself. And that affected me at the time quite a lot, to the point where I didn't understand, like, what was it about me that people didn't see as male? And did I have to change things? Did I have to, like, try and be more masculine? And I was really, like, head fucked about it for maybe 6 weeks. And I get the shits, when people would say, "Oh, congratulations, your marriage to your wife is now legal," and I'd be like, no, like, I mean, yes, it's fab, awesome, but like, we're basically a heterosexual couple in as far as the law goes, and people be like, "What? Oh yeah, how did you do that?" And I'm like, I just changed my gender on the birth certificate. Like, this is how it happens. But see, transitioning to me and anyone who's transitioning, this is our whole life. This is everything. So we have an intimate relationship with gender and other people's gender markers and other people's names because we have been on a journey where that's been really important to us. It's not the same for everyone else. Most people are just worried about, what couple gets through on maths. That's a reality TV show called Married at First Sight, which also I was incredibly offended at when they brought that out because same-sex marriage was not legal at the time, and I just thought it was just a fucking slap in the face. But later became addicted to that show. Anyway, basically November 2017, same-sex marriage was voted in. All right, so the legislation was changed, and same-sex people could be married, and it was fucking amazing, and it was great to see everyone get married, and it was awesome to our wedding occurred the February after, so we managed to wait or become married in the height of equality in Australia, and we're just so happy about that. Anyway, around that time, serves a purpose to this conversation because in that November period, the pain that I had in my uterus was extreme. So I would randomly get attacks during the day, at night, in the middle of the night, and they would just keep me up. They'd be awake all night with this pain, and it was really bothering me. It was really affecting my quality of life. I was really anxious about the pain. We get depressed because I had no sleep, and I just had all this mixture of stuff going on around me with the same-sex marriage debate and everyone talking to me about my gender. And I just was like in a lot of pain as well. And pain is extremely draining, and that kind of pain is extremely draining because my brain was like freaking out because it couldn't get away from it and couldn't understand it. So it's just freaking out. And one night I woke up in the middle of the night. I didn't have any pain when I went to sleep. I was asleep all night. I woke up in the middle of the night in excruciating pain. And I was like, oh God, this is so bad. And, like curled up in bed. I didn't know what to do, what to take, how to even get up and get a heat pack. And something inside me just went, fuck this. What is this about? Like, I've been in pain for so long. It's been cycling. There's no pattern. I've done all this stuff. I've taken all these things and nothing touches the sides. It's got to be something about this pain that I haven't accessed yet and I don't understand. And I went, oh, well, sure. Okay. I'll just like lie here and connect internally, just sort of connect with the pain and sort of just let it, like, sit in it. Like, let it be painful, not try and get away from it, not trying to control it. Just let it be painful, let it take over, and just see what happens. And, of course, I did that, and I got some pretty quick messages. And by messages, it's weird because it's like I just kind of knew what it meant. I don't want to say I heard voices because I didn't really hear voices, but the concepts popped up in my head and I understood them immediately. And what happened was I've been suppressing my own innate femininity. I've been rejecting it. I've been affected by people not seeing me as male, and it's made me want to shut down my female attributes or what I judge to be female. I wanted to shut those down so I would present more male and people would read me as male, and then I would feel better about myself. And basically, as soon as I acknowledged that I had been repressing my feminine side or my innate femininity, the pain like that gone, just disappeared, completely gone. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like that, I was like, wow, this is incredible. That the pains just disappeared when I had this realization. That's amazing. Because remembering that this pain, once it starts, it just continually goes in a cycle over and over until somehow I find a way to snap out of it. As in, like, it just is self perpetuating and self ending. So I was really surprised that it just stopped. And so I thought there's something in this. And I pretty much fell back asleep after that. And I woke up in the morning and I went, huh, I've been doing this and I need to stop. And I did stop, and the pain went away for a really long time. I didn't have any more pain for a long period. And I would say I didn't have any pain like that for at least 5 to 6 months. And so that was a really cool experience. And so what I did was I took this idea that regardless of the gender we identify as, regardless of the gender that we were assigned at birth, regardless of how aligned we are with our gender identity, we all have a masculine and a feminine side. We have those two kinds of characteristics, those two energies in our body, regardless of whether we associate with it or not. And we all know what it's like to play manly, to play masculine. We feel that. We all know what it's like to get in touch with our feminine side. We feel that. So in like energy medicine and in psychotherapy, we talk about these two energies as having certain attributes. So, for example, the feminine side in people, it's our intuition, our inner knowing, our heart space, the feelings, the emotions, the ability to flow with those. The feminine side is associated with like the moon and water being like emotions, tears, crying, and things like that. And so I thought, well, that makes sense that I had been suppressing this part of me. In that, like, I was always really concerned that I didn't want to like look too camp, or I didn't want to come across as like, oh, that guy's like weird. Like, he's interacting with his partner in a weird way. Like, who's the man in the relationship? And this is all like really unconscious stuff because I genuinely don't give a shit about what people think when they see me, except when I don't feel safe. And so it came up, when we'd be camping or we'd be in the country or something, I'd be like, oh, wait, people looking at me weird? Like, do I come across too feminine? And things like that. And so I sort of just start going, these are really important attributes, especially in my work. Intuition is so important when you're a hands-on physical therapist. It's a very important guide. And I went, no, I absolutely want to hold on to these attributes. I don't want to suppress this shit anymore. And I also honored this masculine side of me. And I have always sort of really relied on and pushed for the masculinity to come out ever since I was a child. I always wanted to be a tomboy. I always wanted to be involved with the boys and be in sports and really demonstrate and let that part of me come out and really express myself that way. And I thought, I need to give this guy like a breather and let other parts of the masculinity show up. So where we have this feminine side, which is these innate qualities of intuition and emotion, we have this masculine side as well. And the masculine side is generally associated with ambition and passion and protection and discernment and things like that, and that kind of judged and judging part of ourselves. And so I thought, well, they're really great attributes, and I have been existing in that space for a long time. And it's time for me to really realize what is it that I want from this transition. Because for me, I obviously always felt male, and I was always disrupted by the vehicle that I was in, the physical body. I never felt like I could work through my physical body until I transitioned. And I thought, did I transition to become a man? No, I didn't. I transitioned to be able to express myself better in this world through a body that was more aligned in lots of different ways with who I am, with the spirit of me. Did I come here to only engage with the world through my masculinity. No, I came here and I'm going through this journey to be a whole person, to be a whole, complete spirit person thing. And so if I want to be whole, I need to merge these two parts of myself, which means I need to embrace my femininity. So after this period of time, when I had this realization, I started to sort of personally work on that. So I'd sort of think about that. I'd do some research about what this thing was. I'd let it out. Like I just let myself be camp, be feminine, embrace the feminine side of me, get really in touch with my emotions, get really in touch with my intuition. And they were amazing. It was an amazing journey. Like I got so many kind of like insights and gifts from that. And I've had some really good experiences, like in my relationship, with my friendships, at work. I've had some really great experiences. So it's definitely worth it. Then what happened was like around March to June in 2018, I experienced crippling pain again. And I thought, hey, you know what? I'm onto this. Like, I know what to do here. I just got to like sort of sit in it and figure out what it is that I need to do or what it means. And what I figured out at that point was that I was coming up to the point where, as part of my journey, these organs were going to have to be removed. And not just because I needed to get out of pain, but because there's so much friction in my chemistry that the organs could not do their function or do what they were designed to do in my chemistry. You see, like, regardless of the way we look at gender, the uterus and the ovaries and the cervix and even the vagina, to some extent, I think the vagina is a lot more plastic in that it can be fluid. They hold strong energy and they don't necessarily adapt to the point where they can really flow and go with what's going on in the chemistry when I was transitioning to male. And that's for me. I'm sure that it's completely different for so many other people. And that's totally fine. This is just my own observations about where I was at and what these organs meant in my body and what they meant to me. And so I recognized that there was too much friction and that my uterus, it has a role in life. And that role is all about fertility. And that fertility for me was never going to play out in the traditional way that a uterus would do. So I think there was a lot of friction that caused the pain. And I did some work on that and it went away, which is really, really amazing. I also had this amazing kind of dialogue with one of my therapists where we sort of looked at the pain. We looked at who I am, where I'm going, and my values, especially around being male and being transgendered person and all this stuff. And we looked at the trans rhetoric. So I didn't know this, but I had internalized some of the more like common transgender story. And the common transgender story, we all have heard this, whether we take it on or not. I had taken it on, that we were born in the wrong body and that we had these major conflicts of like the body is against my gender and the body is against my brain and they're always fighting with it and dysphoria kills me and I just feel so shit. And all of that is true and real emotionally. But the concept of it, I had internalized it as like one of my values, that I was born in the wrong body and therefore I am wrong. And therefore everything I'm doing is to fix me. And I realized that doesn't align with how I feel about transitioning. Transitioning to me is about becoming a whole person, complete. It's about going on a journey and learning what it is. What is this human experience? Like, what are we here for? Like, what is my purpose? And what does this mean? What does all this freaking mean? And it's been really amazing. And I thought, what if these organs aren't female? And if I don't associate these organs as female, are they not supposed to be in my body? If I'm a complete person and I have these organs, isn't there a way that I can integrate and accept the idea that I have them? Isn't there a reason that they're there? Isn't there a reason for everything? Are there coincidences? Probably not. And if you stop looking at things like they are coincidences, we start learning pretty much straight away. And so I thought, if these organs, I've labeled them as female and I've labeled them as wrong and I've labeled my body as wrong, then where does that sit? Like, where do I sit with that on a spiritual level? Where do I sit with that on an emotional level? And it's causing conflict. I sit with it in a conflicted position. And I thought, okay, so the flip side of that is that I was born in the perfect body. I was born in the perfect body for the journey that I'm taking in my life, which means I was born with female chemistry, with estrogen dominance, with ovaries and uteruses that work in a cycle every month, with the pituitary gland that talks to that, with this reproductive brain connection that understand each other. And my spirit, which needed a masculine body to work better in, has a disruption with that causes dissociation, that causes dysphoria. And it was part of my journey to bridge and transcend the binary of male and female. And I thought, well, that's really fucking interesting. So if I was born in the perfect body, then I have to think about my old name, commonly known as a dead name. So if I was born in the perfect body and I was meant to be here as female for a while, then my name, Chloe, my old name, I was meant to be called that. And all that happened was that it didn't match my vibration and I needed to change it. So I went, you know what, I'm going to just send off the concept of the dead name because I felt like it just held so much anger and angst and grief. And I'm just going to take on the concept of my old name. My old name, or my birth name, was Chloe. And I'm going to do the same for the person that Chloe was, because I've obviously changed a lot. And the person that Chloe was in my life was the person that held me, Jackson, in this body and took me to a place in my life where I could change. Because this change isn't something that comes easy. This change isn't something that everyone was designed to do. This change kills people. We see that all the time, and it's fucking tragic. And so I really feel like Chloe, the old me, took me to a place in my life, pretty much dragged me to a place in my life and kicked my ass and said, you are ready. I'm going. You need to take over. And like when I had this realization or when I allowed this process to play out in my head, I just felt so much relief and I felt so much gratitude for my experience and all the gifts that it has brought into my life, including my partner. Like I really believe that me and my partner could only have met in the female bodies that we were in. And then me changing over time slowly has been a big part of her own journey as well. And I just felt so much gratitude. I felt so much relief. And I felt like this feeling of like, fuck, like I don't have to drag this burden, this internalized burden around with me. I'm transgendered. I have my own biology. I have my own history. I have my own journey. And that's fucking great. And more people need to feel this way. More people need to know this. And that's why I created the Conversations with My Uterus part. Story. My cat just really wants to be part of this show. So, yeah. So this has sort of led to a new dialogue within me that I really hope to share with people because it's been liberating to think this way, to feel this way. And just, you know what? It's not even like you need to think this way or I needed to think this way. It was the most important part was taking the chance to open up and connect with my body the way it is without it changing, without having surgery, without having to change. Just going inside and going, hey, I'm here. What's going on? What is this about? Where are we at? That was a really big game changer for me. The second game changer was I allowed myself to go outside what I had been told, to go outside of my internalized trans story, to go outside of what I believe to be true because other people told me, or because I'd read it, or because that's where I've been conditioned to think. And I allowed myself to go outside of that, and I allowed myself to come to my own conclusions about my journey, my body, and my spirit. And it has opened up so many amazing channels for me. And I would just encourage people to just think about that for themselves in their own lives. So, this is part 5 and probably the final part to my Conversations with My Uterus series. Thank you for listening. It's been a very long video, 25 minutes. I knew it would be. I wanted to take my time to tell this story. And if you're listening so far and you have any comments, questions, or anything, send us a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening. Bye.